Die, 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 die. Yada die, 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 die. Yada die, die, die. Yada die, 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 die. Yabba bye, die, die. Yada die, 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 die. Yada die, die, die. Yada die, 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 yada die. Yai dai dai yai dai 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 dum. Yai dai dai yai dai dai dai. Yai dai dai yai dai dai. Yai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Bye yai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Ay ay dai ay dai. Yada da 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 dum, ba ba ya da dum, yada da 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 da, ay 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 da. Boker Tov, good morning. Today is another awesome day, weather-wise, but today is another one of those days where you feel the beauty in the world, and you still shake your head. I dropped Ellis off to school this morning, and the teacher in the next classroom over, she's an older woman, been teaching there for a really long time, who I hope Ellis gets next year. But, parents hope and they do what they want in the school. But anyway, long story short, she said, Rabbi, every day I say something different to you. And every day it's another complaint. And I wish it would be like it was before October 7th. But really, I had things to complain about before that, too. But here I feel like I have all of these complaints and all of these things to say about the world, and I can't make them better myself. And that's the place of frustration. That's the place of torn guts. That's the place of broken hearts. That's the place of worry, of fear, and all of those things, because we cannot change it as individuals. And I said, we can't change it as individuals. We can't fight Hamas. We can't, as a one-person army, we can't get our hostages back and things like that. But I said, yesterday I took part last night in a panel discussion at the LGBT network, which I think was powerful, which I think was well received, which I wish more people had attended. But if you go to their Instagram, you can watch it. They did record almost all of it. I think the allotment is like 90 minutes. I think we went over a couple minutes more than that. But it was a nice conversation. It was an opportunity for there to be questions asked and to be reminded of the things that maybe we needed to hear and open our hearts to the things that we didn't necessarily know or want to hear. And so one of the things that was striking to me this morning is this commentary on Deuteronomy 16:8, which says, "You should run after righteousness with your words. With your mouth, you should speak only what's in your heart." So we're running after things that are important. We're running after things to pursue them aggressively with our understanding that there is an urgency about them. And so there's an urgency about the conversations that we're having with people. I think a lot of people are in a place where they just want to snap their fingers and be able to solve the world's problems. I know that I'm one of them. There are people that are just doers, people that think with their minds, and there are people that are, people that think with their hearts. There's every kind of person. There is a spectrum of how we react to stimulus. How do we react to war, to things that are easy and to things that are more difficult. And we all have different ways about it. And sometimes our reactions are always the same. And sometimes, depending on what the stimulus is, what the reason for the reaction is, depends upon our response, depends on what it is. But there are so many times where walking is the appropriate way. And then there are other ways in which we can't afford to be so laid back in our approach. When Shabbat's coming, and it is tonight, we'd like to walk into Shabbat. You don't like to run into Shabbat, because the transition from running to slowing down is really difficult, right? But if we come into Friday, let's say it's Friday morning, Shabbat's, several hours away, we start to dial back. We start to release the pressure of the week so that we glide into Shabbat. It's like you don't go running into the sanctuary. Let's pretend it was pre-COVID, or whenever you were your most active self going into the seat of a sanctuary. You're never running in. You might be running to the front door, but as you enter that door, there's a retreat that happens, and you slide into your seat. But in times like we're in right now, it feels like we have been constantly running. We're running after the righteousness. We're running after the answers. We're running to fight a cause that feels like the battle that just cannot be won. And we're exhausted, and we're tiring, and we're grieving, and we're worried, and we are forgetting to breathe. In the conversation last night, I had mentioned that the way to move in these moments is to have the uncomfortable conversations. We find ourselves having conversations most often with the people that are most like-minded, right? Because it's not easy conversation to have, even if you agree 100%, even if your words are the same, not even like the actual same as somebody else's. We know how exhausting even those conversations are. And so I don't want to talk to that person because they might not exactly agree with me 100%. Forget about the people for this moment. Don't forget about them, but forget about the people that are of opposing force, right? The focus needs to be on the people that are somewhere in the middle, that are unsure, that maybe aren't sure of true fact, some that are just on the fence because they don't really understand it. And as I also said last night, the truth is that we are, and I've said this since the war broke out, where people um, who have the capacity to hold two things at once. You know, we're humans. We're brought into this world as humans before anything else is attached to us, as far as um, giving labels to people. You come into the world as a human because your soul has entered your body. You're a human being. You have a heartbeat. You're breathing. You're very much alive. And that is our connection to humanity. And so when we see the destruction and the devastation and the casualties of war amongst against or amongst the innocent, our hearts bleed. Right? No one's going to take that feeling away. And yet we still have the feeling to make others understand our perspective, because I don't understand, in a world where all of the corruption and all of this devastation is happening, there's still a place of people that are against us, right? Even if this wasn't the situation. Anti-Semitism is not new. It's just bubbling to the surface again because this is what it does cyclically and as a result of turmoil. I don't know that there is any way to make that go away, but in the fight that we're having in this moment, it's in the conversations that are uncomfortable. It's in the silence. It's in the hard, harsh realities that some people are just so ignorant and they're there. And there are some people in the middle that are just so unaware, uneducated. And those are the people. In those uncomfortable conversations is the growth for us and the growth for them. To realize that we might be on opposite sides is not to push blame, rather to find a middle ground where there are things that in ways that we can support each other. That's how we grow as people. The world cannot become a better place through hate. It just can't, no matter what. So when you're feeling so angry inside because these people just don't understand and they don't see it for what the reality is, because there's so much fake news, there's so much distortion in media, and we hold on and we can't. But when we go with hateful hearts, it's not okay for us to be hateful and them to be hateful. We're just raising the bar of hate in the world. But it's through conversation and through uncomfortable moments where we grow together as a people. I think in conversation last night, we were talking about how it's not all or nothing. Reb Tova, yes, it is the cry for peace. It is, with our action, needs to bring a world that is more peaceful and more loving and more hopeful and fueled by the kindness that is our nature. It's hard. It's hard to hold both things. It's hard to be in the moments that we are, as the people that we are, as Jews, as humans, as those that care for another. It's hard. Od lo avda tikvatenu. But our hope is not yet lost. It's not lost on our people. It's not lost on our land. It's not lost on humanity. It is a response to terror. And so as we approach Shabbat, we slow down. But justice cannot afford such an approach. Justice requires us to run after righteousness with our words, as our mouths speak what is in our hearts. So speak up, have the conversations, and run ahead. Because in your wake, in what follows you, are abundant blessings for the whole world. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. Your love is there in your heart. Run towards justice. Open your hearts. Speak your truth. Show up authentically. Throw up, yes. Show up with a kind heart. Almost Shabbat Shalom. Well, you can say it as of Wednesday. So good Shabbos to all of you. May it be restful, but may it be purposeful. Maybe you can have one uncomfortable conversation today that will bring you and the other person a bit of growth. Have a great day. We look forward to seeing you back here at 7 o'clock. That's a lie. 7:30 for Erev Shabbat services as we bring in Shabbat together. Yada-dai-dai-dai-dai-dum. Yada-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yada-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yada-dai-dai-dai-dum. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Od Avinu Chai.